boys and girls, welcome to GlamRat. Now, this week I've got something rather exciting for you guys. I managed to bag myself an interview with the one and only Ryan Roxie. Now, Ryan Roxie is a singer-songwriter from California in America, and he is most notably known for all of his work that he has done with Alice Cooper, mainly touring with the band since 1996 on and off. And he's done some other projects, including working with Gilby Clarke and Slash. Now, during this downtime, he has self-isolated himself with his family in Sweden, where he currently lives, and has developed a brand new program which is aimed to help people learn guitar in 12 weeks with 12 riffs in 12 easy ways. Now, he was very excited to share this information with me, so we had a nice little chat about it as well as other things as well. I hope you guys enjoy it, and this is what me and Ryan Roxie had to talk about.
As it is at the moment, how are you keeping yourself entertained?
Keeping myself entertained by trying to entertain as many people as possible. You know?
Yes, because you've got your new System 12 guitar lessons going on. How's that going for you?
Well, I can see the guitars in back of you, so I know that you're already well on your way to playing guitar and bass and everything else. So
yeah. I'm not as good as I'd like to be, if I'm going to be honest. But
well, the good thing about the course and the System 12 is I think it's designed for obviously people just starting out with their guitar journey, but all the way up to like an intermediate level, because what I've done is I've taken so many years of my experience of teaching guitar. I was teaching guitar lessons before I actually played in bands, to be honest with you. When I was 16 years old, I was teaching guitar lessons way back in California. Right. And I was learning these little life hacks, these little guitar tricks along the way that would sort of shorten the process and make it quicker and a little bit more inspiring and actually, you know, more exciting to learn how to play guitar. Because I know there's just, you know, that first jump, you're really excited, but then it gets really steep, you know, and very few people stick with it. And the whole idea of the System 12 is for everyone to stick with guitar and, you know how to play 12 songs or riffs within 12 weeks. That's why it's called System 12. The number 12 comes in all over the place, all over the course. There's 12 notes in music, 7 notes for the sharps and flats, 12 actual notes total, 12 frets on the guitar. When you see those double dots that everyone always goes, what are those double dots on my guitar neck? Yeah, that's the 12th fret. And that's where the guitar neck starts over again. And it took me years to figure that out.
So it's just easier to pass on your knowledge to the next generation of guitarists, you know? Do you find it a lot easier with all this new technology to be able to reach out to people?
Not just the social media technology, but actually the technology that we're using to teach the lessons. Yeah, we've managed to find a certain type of tech that not a lot of people are using these days that combines video with tablature notation, and the video follows along and scrolls along with the tab and the notation. And there's a virtual guitar neck. So it's almost, I don't want to say it's as fun as playing a video game, but you get that sort of video game guitar. What was it? Rock Band or Rockstar Guitar?
Yeah, there was Rockstar and Guitar Hero and all of them. Yeah.
Guitar Hero, the one video game that no guitar player was good at. It was always drummers that were better at Guitar Hero than any guitar player that I knew back in the day. But this gives a little bit of that, gives a little bit of sort of a challenge to you to look within the computer, take the technology that you want to use, whether it's old school video. There's 3 different angles that you can look at to learn.
Brilliant.
So there's a lot of cool things about it. And the best way to go check it out is just go to ryanroxie.com and click on the Kickstarter campaign button. That's cool.
That has gone through the roof. You had such just like a moderative aim to get to, and you've just shot past that. Easy.
That has a lot to do with the people that are supporting this, and they're finding they're getting value from it. Plus, you know, our supporters and our fans over the years just kick ass. Anyone that comes out to an Alice Cooper show and has subsequently come out to a Ryan Roxie show because of that, thank you very much. I mean, maybe you know me from Alice Cooper.
I do. I saw you in 2015 at Newcastle Arena, 2nd of November. It was my birthday with Motley Crue.
Did you come to Motley Crue and then became a fan of Alice from that, or did you know Alice before that?
I knew Alice before that, definitely, especially with like Wayne's World being one of my favorite films, and Feed My Frankenstein, Poison, Love's a Loaded Gun, 18, all the classic tracks. I love it. And to be honest, you guys blew me away more than what Motley Crue did, to be fair. I'm not going to lie.
Even though you're wearing a Motley Crue shirt today, right? I saw it. I picked up on it.
I thought I had to. I mean, mentioning Motley Crue, do you think that musicians can ever retire? Because everybody seems to come out, they're like, oh yeah, we're going to retire, and then they come back. Do you think musicians can ever retire?
That adrenaline rush that you get when you're on stage, whether you're 16 or 60, I think never goes away. And you're going to ask Alice. Alice is in the 70s. It never goes away. He's so, he's addicted to performing. He's addicted to the stage, and subsequently so am I, and so is everybody in the band. It's one of those things where I think the true pioneers, which are guys like Alice Cooper and obviously the bands that he was influenced by, whether it's the Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney, those guys, if those guys are still touring,
they're still kicking about, they're still kicking on.
You know that we're going to be doing it.
Oh, exactly. I mean, you've worked with so many people across the years, like Slash and everybody like that. Have you ever like gone and played with somebody and thought, oh God, I've really got to up my game here. Like, I'm a bit out of my depth. Has there been anybody like that throughout your career that you felt like that?
That I was out of my element playing with. But, I'm always enamored by people. I think the reason why I'm able to play the gigs that I'm able to play is because I don't react like a fish out of water when you're put into waters that are definitely uncharted. So, like, if you get thrown into a situation where you go, shit, man, these are some heavy cat musicians. And obviously, one of the biggest thrills for me was when Brian May came up and played on stage with us at Wembley Arena, being one of my guitar heroes. Of course, you're a little bit starstruck. Of course, you're a little bit nervous and all that stuff. But at that exact moment, that's when you kind of earn your paycheck by acting like, oh, yeah, I've done this before. Yeah, it's cool. We'll be able to hang. And there's a lot of times where I've been in those positions where I know that the musicians I'm on stage with, whether it's just a jam or whether it's an actual professional paid gig, that I feel like, okay, I could be intimidated, but you know what? I'm here too. And there was a reason why I was invited here to get on the same stage with these guys. So I might not have the accolades. I might not have the notoriety as these other musicians and other big names, but guess what? I'm on the same stage. And while I'm on the same stage, you're on an equal footing. So everybody is there to perform and entertain. I mean, one of the biggest sort of, I guess, setback moments where I was like, oh man, you're with some heavy musician cats, is when I did the David Letterman show with Alice. So because that David Letterman band they're so famous,
they are on them, they're huge. Some of the people that are on them.
Basically when all I think Anton Fig was on drums, and when Paul goes okay, let's start he's playing behind the keyboards and he says, let's start the song. And I'm obviously really nervous at first because it is David Letterman. It's going to be on national TV. But then I realized, you know what? It's just me and Alice on stage. We're in the forefront. We don't have time to be nervous. We don't have time to be intimidated. It's time for us to perform. And they were really supportive as well. But that was really, Paul Schaefer and the world's most dangerous band, and you're on stage with them. That was
can't argue. You can't argue with that, can you? At all. I mean, I read somewhere that you were first into drums. So why the stark change from drums to guitar when you were like 10 or 11, I think it was?
Yeah, I had a drum kit growing up. I used to bash the shit out of it. It was more of an anger management tool, I think, at first. I was part of that product of the 70s where all our parents divorced somewhere around mid-70s.
Yeah.
So, and I had a drum kit and got a lot of therapy banging out through that. But then I quickly realized that it was a lot easier to play guitar just on everything. Easier on the pocketbook, it's cheaper than drum parts and drum equipment, and you didn't have to have a van to cart around all this stuff. You come in a little bit later to gigs because you play guitar. Drummers always have to
plug in and go.
And at the end of the day, I was on front of the stage. I wasn't at the back. So, Yeah, I chose drums.
Have you ever
Or I chose the guitar.
thought, oh, I'm gonna have a bash about on Glenn's drums when he's been setting up and things like that? Have you ever just felt like, oh, I just want to have a little go?
I've gotten behind Glenn Sobel's drum kit before. I do enjoy it. It's so much math. He's got. I mean, I play with another a jam band called Planet Axe, where the drummer Kenny, and a lot of people confuse Kenny and Glenn sometimes, but Kenny has this drum kit we call the Oracle, and there's so much. There's all these clamps and cymbals and this rack tom and a handle for this and a clip for that. So he has about 4 iPads hooked on his drum kit, the Oracle. But when I get behind it, at the end of the day, it's just, what I like to hear on drums is a kick, snare, and some hi-hat. Doom ba, doom doom ba, and I'm the king of that beat. So, but the big thrill for my son and my daughter was I put them behind the kits years ago when I got back into the Alice Cooper band around 2012. They came to a show and they got to sit behind the kit and bang on the drums and stuff. So everybody likes hitting on drums, especially Glenn. Obviously.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Have you ever borrowed any of Nita's eyeliner when you've been on tour? Because you gotta make your eyes do it, and you think, oh god, I've run out. I'm gonna have
that charcoal eye thing going. She's got the charcoal eye thing. There's a couple things I would never borrow from Nita. That would be because I obviously wear my own. I need my own sort of industrial strength supply of eyeliner. But I would never borrow the fake blood. She's been doing the fake blood now. That's kind of trademark, but she never asks to borrow my red, white, and blue wristband. So we kind of have our boundaries with that, But everything else, we've shared each other's hair straighteners and hair curlers, and obviously we share wardrobe cases, so a lot of times our stuff gets mixed up in between.
So what's the best and the worst part about being on tour? Because you seem to be on tour all the time.
Yeah, I would say the best part is being on tour. The worst part is not being on tour.
Yeah, because at the minute nobody can go anywhere, can they? So
go back to all those cliche things. They say, oh, the travel's hard, the hours are hard. It's, you wait around all day for just 1 hour of work. But guess what? That 1 hour of work is worth everything that you do. Work for, and there is work that's in between those hours, whether it's interviews or whether it's doing stuff like this right now or content of what I do with my podcast and my pushing out the guitar lessons, of course. But at the end of the day, that's all part of the job. And if you're going to complain about something that you've wanted to do since you were a little kid, then you picked the wrong thing that you wanted to become when you were a little kid. Because that's all I've ever wanted to do is, travel the world and play music while I'm doing that. And luckily enough, knock on wood, I've been able to do it. We're obviously in a darn hiccup right now and a weird sort of, is it going to go back to normal? We don't know. I want to be prepared for something new if it doesn't, and be happily surprised if it doesn't. If it goes back to everything, concerts and all that stuff, and everybody's festivals and everybody jumping on each other, great. I'm happily surprised. But I also want to be prepared if there is a new normal and there is something new, what is going to be our next performing stage? And this might be what we're doing right now, part of it.
Yeah, there's loads of live streams all the time. Would you and the guys ever get together and do a big live stream together, do you think?
Well, we've done 2 videos now so far. The new Alice Cooper song is going to be coming out, I think, on the 15th of May. That's coming out with his new song, and we all did one of those isolation videos where we just filmed our parts and they clipped it all together. But I've had every member on my podcast.
Yes, you have.
I'm not sure when you are airing this one, but on next Tuesday, the 12th, I don't know if you have aired this by now or it's past, whatever. Or you can just go on YouTube and watch the rebroadcast. I'm having Chuck Garrick, our bass player, on the In the Trenches live stream podcast, and that's always fun to have members of the band on your show because we're familiar with each other, but we get to talk about things that we normally wouldn't. I don't normally go and talk about Chuck Garrick's career to him when we're just hanging on the bus watching a football game. But when he's on my podcast, I get to talk to him, all the time about his his career and stuff. So I think he's going to enjoy that.
Yeah, because you had Michael Monroe on last week.
Just had Michael Monroe. He was such a great guest. He was killing it, and I'm so bummed that YouTube has banned it because of one of the song clips that we played. So the good news is that's the problem, but there's always a solution to every problem. We obviously tape simultaneously with YouTube Live and Facebook Live, so you can see the Facebook Live version. If you just go on to my Ryan Roxie Facebook page, then you can check out the interview I did with Michael Monroe on the In the Trenches podcast. It came out so killer. He's so energetic, so inspired.
He is mad.
Yeah.
He is absolutely insane. I saw him last year at Hard Rock Hell, and I met him when he came out the shop, and he's just absolutely insane. He's absolutely
one of those guys that you're never going to get to stop performing, because even when even when the amps are shut off, even when the lights have gone off, he's off on another. He's performing somewhere else, and he performed amazing on this podcast.
Yeah, he's just one of them great guys. Is there anybody that you really, really want on the podcast that you haven't had yet?
I'm going to aim high. I want Dave Grohl. I would love to have Dave Grohl and just talk to him about because I like people that constantly create and they don't make excuses. They just create. And, there is a problem. And obviously he had the biggest problem in the world because his singer died. And he, instead of, he could have just kind of stepped back and lived the rest of his life off Nirvana money. But no, what did he do? He formed pretty much the biggest band in rock and roll since, so, and so many other things that he's done business-wise that I really admire. And that's what I like to do when I film the podcast and record the podcast, is get sort of inside these guys' heads, because not only does it give me ideas of what to do, hopefully it gives the listener inspiration and ideas of their own of how they can create and not make excuses.
Well, yeah, I mean, he just seemed to be a brilliant guy, like very charitable and giving back, and that's what you're doing with like this System 12 guitar lessons.
Trying to give all my knowledge, trying to give all my experience, all my experience of playing guitar and teaching guitar, all wrapped up into one quick, easy to digest a system and method that you will learn guitar in about 12 weeks.
I mean, is that what you wanted to be? Did you want to become like a music teacher and then just play in the dive bars at a weekend kind of thing? Or was it always, I need to be a performer, I have to be out there?
Look, if we can play stadiums like we did in February, which we just played a stadium with Queen in February in Australia, way back before the world changed, right? Way back in February. If we can continue to do that, but if we can continue to do that, I will be the happiest guy in the world. If it doesn't happen, I'm happy with what I've done so far, but I'm never going to stop trying to play live and in front of people. So if it means that it's going to be a dive bar, the dive bar it is. I've played some strange gigs in my time, so everything in between. I'm good. Big, small, in the middle, take them all.
What was the first record that you learned to play along to? Because a lot of people, they learn guitar by playing to a certain record. Was there
I couldn't really play along with this record, but I definitely tried to. The first record that I really, really tried to cop off the guitar licks from was Van Halen 1. And I think a lot of people my age tried to learn Eruption, and I ruined many vinyl records because of it. It was before YouTube. It was before slowing down the speed of tape, and it was before all that stuff. So it's just old-fashioned ruining records, old-fashioned scratching. And that was the record that I felt maybe my guitar skills and my sort of musical knowledge sort of combined. Before that, I was listening to a lot of pop rock. I used to listen to the Partridge Family, the Osmond Brothers.
Who didn't?
A lot of bubblegum pop, a lot of, but at the same time, one of my first albums was a Clarence Clearwater Revival too. So my grandma bought it. That and Elton John, those two albums, Clarence Clearwater Revival and Elton John's Greatest Hits. So those are good. That's some pedigree records to learn.
Yeah, I was going to say they're quite cracking them, like, aren't they? Do you love the fact that vinyl has come back into the mainstream rather than just everything being like a digital download? Because it's amazing what technology we have, but do you get a different feeling, do you think, from vinyl?
And I'm so happy that it's come back. my 14 turning 15-year-old daughter has her own vinyl player now, and she has a whole new host of different artists that she listens to on vinyl. But the cool thing is, it is on vinyl. My latest record, Imagine Your Reality, was released on vinyl. We ended up putting out 5 different colors of vinyl. Every single one of them sold out. I'm really happy. I'm really proud of the not just the people that support us, but I'm proud of the record company, Balachi Records, Bellyache Records. They do such a good job of packaging. So the idea of listening to a record, the experience of taking a record out and being able to read the liner notes, it's a really cool experience, and I'm glad that you're able to do that with my newest record.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing as well. You have so many side projects as well as your own, as well as being on tour with Alice and everybody else that you've brilliantly worked with. What are the pros and cons to each of them, from being like a side man to being like the front man kind of thing? Do you like the mixture of both? Or do you prefer one to the
Yeah, one pays nothing, one actually costs money to do, and the other one actually pays pretty well. No, I mean, like, I am sort of a higher gun in one sense of the word, but I've never used that term hired gun with Alex, because he does make you feel like such a band member. He makes you feel important. He has he's so like in control of his own and comfortable with his own iconic status, that he allows all of us to rise up and shine and do what we do and do it to the best of our abilities. So I really give Alice Cooper a lot of credit for, technically we are a hired gun band, but it feels more like a band and a family, and we get a lot of credit because Alice gives us that credit, and again, let's perform the way we want to. There's never a restriction saying, the only thing he says, wear black. If you can wear, for primarily wear black, but we kind of end up cheating by the end of the tour anyways. And someone will put in a white scarf or red bandana. Then all of a sudden it's, but he always starts the tours off with, we're going to all wear black. That's my only rule.
Everybody wear black, and that's it. I'd be bummed out. I'm wearing a white shirt. Who's the most mischievous on the tour? Because Tommy seems to be quite a cheeky little thing. Does he play like?
When he gets on the old Instagram, he starts making his videos. He's just everybody loves that, because it kind of it's like their inside guy in the Alice Cooper camp, and you can see the ins and outs. But no one's really that cheeky. I mean, there's. We've had our years and we had our times where everything was used to be a little bit more crazy, but now it really isn't as nuts backstage. That's why I go out, pre-show, and sometimes I just take a walk out to the merch booth just because I want to see what's going on in front of the stage. I want to see what's going on in the crowd. And some people are always like, aren't you supposed to be on stage pretty soon? I'm like, yeah, but I just want to see what's going on here. And I shake some hands and sign some things that people want. I call it the rock and roll parking lot. So in that sense, I like going out outside of our little backstage bubble. And then when the lucky thing is that when things do get a little bit out of hand, I can just duck backstage and get dressed, put on my ton of eyeliner, and jump around like an idiot,
like a madman for a couple of hours.
Right.
I just had a thought there. I completely forgot about. Fender released Fender Play last year, which was kind of like a guitar learning thing. But yours is a lot more personalized, like you said, because you give them out. It's not like a competition kind of thing. But how does yours differ from?
Well, I think the most important thing you should check out with the System 12 guitar method is the actual method. It's the length of time that you're going to take and invest to learn guitar. And I'm telling you, with what I've created and what the team of System 12 has created, is something that everybody can attain and achieve. You can learn 12 songs and 12 riffs in 12 weeks. It's you just have to apply yourself. The tech that we're using is, I feel, better than any other tech that any other guitar method is using at this point. I think that because like you said, it is personal. It's me out there. People that know me and know that I've been playing with Alice for over 25 years off and on now at this point, they know that they're going to learn from the guy, and that's been playing with the guy. So, I mean, if I had that chance when I was growing up, if I would have had a chance to learn from one of my guitar sort of guys that I knew about, looked up to, and listened to on my records that I liked, I'd jump at that chance. And that's pretty much a big difference that people like myself and Nita, that has her own course, that's what makes it original, and that's what makes it unique. It is our knowledge that we're giving to you, and it's not just something that's at least my method is definitely not traditional. I don't teach, the last thing I want you to do is get frustrated and give it up before you've actually had a chance to really learn. So I don't teach first position chords right off the bat, which usually is a really hard thing for most people to do because they've never put their hand around a guitar neck before. So they're forced to play these cowboy chords, I call them, that are all weird. Their hands all no. Start with just one finger. Start with one pick. Or if you don't even want to play with a pick, you play with your thumb. But I got a guitar pick right here. So you start with one finger, and then you're learning songs right off. From lesson 1, you're learning songs.
Yeah, so you become kind of like the internet's a temple, and you become like a sensei kind of thing to people to try and encourage them as best you can.
I'll take that. The other cool thing about it is that with our Kickstarter campaign, I said, you go to ryanroxie.com, just click on that Kickstarter button. It'll walk you through all these different levels that we have. And obviously, if you contribute more to the actual campaign, you'll get more access into our world. So we actually have for a certain level, you're going to be in this private Facebook group that has a lot of other people that are learning guitar at the same time. So all of a sudden you're in a group, sort of
like a classroom kind of thing.
A little bit, but it's more of a support group. Think of it more of an AA meeting, all right?
For guitarists.
All right? Good addiction app.
Guitarist Anonymous.
Then the higher up you go, then it goes to some private Skype lessons and private sort of lessons, like we're doing one-on-one.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So what else have you got in the pipeline? Because you've got to keep yourself busy. I can imagine you being a very hard man to keep quiet for so long.
I'm going to continue doing System 12 and promoting System 12 Guitar Method. And I'm also going to continue to write and collaborate with as many people as possible with music. And then I'm actually going to continue to talk to as many people, gain information and ideas and inspiration with my In the Trenches podcast. So, and I'm going to be doing more interviews like I'm doing like in 5 minutes from now. So I'm going on to Instagram to do another live stream interview right now. So cool. I appreciate you having me on, though, for this time.
No, it's all right. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I'm going to, share you with everybody because it's such an honor, really, because, when you think of Alice Cooper and stuff, I do think of all you guys, like, collectively. Because, you've also worked with Orianthi as well. You've worked with one of my guitar heroes, Richie Sambora. So, it's great to kind of, get used to, and is there anything you'd like to say to any of your fans or anything like that before you go?
I just gotta say, keep doing what you're doing. Keep supporting. If you haven't heard of me or haven't really followed us yet on Instagram or Facebook, it's very simple, at Ryan Roxie, and of course YouTube is Ryan Roxie Official. And just keep doing what you're doing with passing the torch and promoting rock and roll, because that's just as important during these times as teaching lessons. It's talking about the spirit of rock and roll and promoting the word and keeping us all in a community when we can't go to concerts right now, when we can't meet in these large gatherings. We're meeting in places like right now. So keep doing what you're doing. And
always.
Folks out there, I'll see you. I'll see you soon.
Well, you take care, Mr. Roxie, all right? And I'd love to you and all your family stay safe. And, can't wait to see you on the next tour. Fingers crossed it's not going to be too long.
It won't be too long. We'll all keep good, positive attitude with it and good, positive thoughts.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. It was a lot of fun talking to Ryan Roxie, and fingers crossed that I can see him in sometime in the future with Alice Cooper or by himself. Who knows? Who knows? If you did like what we talked about and you would like to know more information about System 12 or Ryan Roxie himself, then please just go to his website just here, and then you can find all the relevant information. And if you wish to donate to the System 12 project, then please do. If you liked this video, drop us a like, follow, subscribe, do all that. Have a look at me on social media, and until next time, lots of love, GlamRat. Bye bye, bye bye. Mwah.